What's up? What's up? What's up, Caleb? King's Advisors. Everything looking sound good? I'm kind of impromptu tonight. Hey, Caleb, if you want to, I may invite you to jump on here if you're cool. If you're cool with it, let me uh, let me send an invite out. So if you give me just a second, I'll put it in the chat. Actually, let's see. I may do it. Caleb, I may send it to your Twitter. How about that, bud? Give me just a second. So I'm winging it here. There you go, bud. So what's up, everybody? I am. What's up, Dick? Very itchy balls. Yeah, that's the way I felt the last couple of days. What's up, Nikki? Nikki? What a week, man. What a week. I don't know where everybody lives or who's been affected by the storms. We had on Sunday where I live in Tennessee, we had storms roll through. Let me let Caleb in here.
What's up?
How goes it, man?
Not too bad. I am currently finishing up some work, and then I'm going to be probably editing. I've got a video coming out on Monday that is going to take quite a bit of editing, so I'm going to be doing that today and tomorrow.
Yeah, I was telling Nikki, I've had 4 videos that have been done on my side for 3 days now. So you know what? So do you know how to send the link, Caleb, to Risman?
Oh yeah, I'll send that.
Or Nikki, if they want to jump in. If Risman comes in, we're going to have to talk about Indy 5. Seen it twice.
You've seen it twice.
Yeah, I was invited to a screening, and that I couldn't talk about, and then.
Oh no, I can't send an invite. You
Okay.
have to.
Let me.
You have to do that.
So let me do it. So if I go into the private chat, I'm still learning all this stuff. If I go into the private chat, will Risman see it?
No, because he's not backstage.
Okay, so
if you copy and paste, if you copy that link, that when you go to the invite thing, you can DM. You go on Discord and send that to him and Nikki and
let's see.
Anyone else. That's usually how I send out invites.
Give me just a second, Risman. I'm gonna.
Is he saying, "Where's my link?"
Yeah, I need
Matt.
to.
Stop misspelling my name.
What's Risman's Twitter?
Darth Simpus, probably.
Darth Simpus.
Oh my god. Let's see.
Is that it?
It's Rister. Risster.
All right. Here he is. Okay. So
Darth Simpus. That's funny.
How do I see? I don't see where I can send a direct message to Matt.
Are y'all following each other?
I'm following him.
He probably has to follow you. Go on Discord. Yeah, open Discord, and then you're in that group with us. You can. Or wait, why am
I'm not going to let everybody in, but
I feel like an idiot. I could just.
There you go. There's a link.
Copy.
There's a link for Risman and Nikki. I'm only going to let like 2 or 3 people in just because it's too many people talking.
Did you already send it to Nikki?
Well, yeah. The link is in the chat. Okay. So we had and as soon as I see them jump in, I'll bring them in. Um, we had storms roll through Sunday, and there's Nikki. What's up, Nikki?
Your boomer links.
I've been in such a crappy mood today.
Oh, you better Brian freak up.
I know. The kids are just now going to bed.
Holy crap!
Well, it's Central Time for you, right?
It's Central. Yeah, I'm in Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah. We had storms roll through on late Sunday night, and literally when I got my suburb that I live in has about 18,000 people. So it's a lot of 1 acre lots and 5 acre and 10 acre lots, and so every gas station was out, every food place was out. I had to go 2 exits down into Memphis, and in Memphis it was 500,000 homes out of power.
Damn, that sounds like me when I went through hurricanes in Miami.
You know it's bad when there's like 4 or 5 Chick-fil-A's within like a 10-mile radius that are all closed. That's bad. So
Oh yeah. Well, what's so weird is you were telling me about that earlier, and I live in South Carolina, and we've had over the last 5-6 years 3 or 4 hurricanes, 1,000-year storms, and flooding, and I've never lost power, and I think it's all because of Hugo back in the 80s when Hugo came through and wrecked everything. We buried most of our power lines. And I guess other people haven't done that yet.
Yeah. They haven't done that here. There were poles down. There were metal poles that were just completely bent down.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
tornadoes and stuff that you guys got?
Yeah, so the kids were swimming in the pool, and Matt's saying, "Where's my link?" He can't get on the link that I posted.
You need to understand that Matt is trolling right now.
Oh, he's trolling. Okay,
Yeah,
he has the link if he wants to jump on.
You got the link, Risman, and because he knows we're gonna talk about Indy 5 if he jumps on.
I ain't got crap to say about it, except all I know is that he's a get off my lawn Indy, and I know Matt is a Disney show, so. Now he's really gonna jump on.
Well, and he does, because we were going back and forth a little bit. I probably largely agree with him. It's not as simple for me. It's not as simple as what some of the videos you've seen, just trashing it, and it's complicated. For me, it's there was a lot of stuff going on. Some things that I liked and things that I didn't like, and at the end of the day, it was a better story than Crystal Skull. I mean, that's just the way I felt about it. But
some people would highly disagree with that.
Yeah, I know. I
had a dream last night that was a better story than Crystal Skull.
But you know what? I think I'm critical of Phoebe Waller-Bridge, because it's. I think they wrote her character to be the way that she was. Once I really had a chance to see it the second time, I was paying attention to like the dialogue, and if you take her out of it and you just focus on the dialogue, the script, they wrote it that way. So I don't know. It's just a mixed emotions. I think I was saying on one of the chats that I walked out of the theater, and this is probably the first time I felt this way with a movie. I've done this with music and with other things in life, but that's the first time I walked out of the theater and felt like I'm not young anymore.
Well, isn't that the problem though? And I know Matt's making comments about echo chamber, but within that same echo chamber, there are people that are saying they like it, so it's not necessarily an echo chamber. The comment I'm hearing the most is that at least the ending to Crystal Skull was like a happier ending, versus this was just kind of more like repetitive and like nothing really happened. It was just, and I get it, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, so it happens to me for a lot of stuff. So who am I to judge anybody that liked this movie over that?
I think one of sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think the ending just depends on, I don't know, it depends on your point of view. I mean, I don't know, it's tough. For me, without giving too much away, having a father who was in Vietnam and then came home, got married, had a family, and in his early 40s got pancreatic cancer from Agent Orange from Vietnam and died. There was a part of the movie that dealt with Vietnam because of when the movie takes place that just was hard to watch. It was hard. It was done very well, but it was like, man, that was tough to watch. So I kind of walked out of the movie feeling like that there was the movie had something to it. It had some weight to it. Crystal Skull did not have. Like, this movie asked some real questions, and I was like, do I blame this movie and the filmmakers, for putting that onto a character that was a hero to me? And so I will not disagree with anybody that says I want to see Indy in his glory. I want to see him in 1939. I want to watch Raiders, Temple of Doom, and I totally get that.
Last
but
Crusade.
It's tough. It's a tough.
Hi to EBN. I see Coach trolling in the chat.
Yeah, Coach. Yeah.
Caleb, are you typing up a dissertation back there?
Oh, can you hear my keyboard?
Yes.
Oh no, I'm still working. Sorry.
But I want to do. You know what I want to? I want to show something.
While you pull that up, I wanted to say one of the things that I thought was really interesting, and I haven't seen Indy or Flash yet. But what I think is really interesting is that both these movies, there was so much negative space around them, and they're expected to do really poorly compared to what they should have done. But
right,
I feel like everything I've heard that is outside of, let's say, the big 12, 15 YouTube accounts is just, that was better than I expected.
So why aren't people going to see it though?
I think it's
it can't just be because of the YouTube accounts. Normies don't even know what's going on YouTube.
Yeah, I think the Flash thing is, I think a lot of people have a problem with Ezra.
Again, I think that's just an internet thing.
Do you think so?
I think people know Ezra had some issues, but it's died out in like the mainstream media. We're so tuned into it because we talk about it, but a lot of normies that I talk to that aren't connected, they're like, oh yeah, didn't he have something? Like, it wasn't like a huge thing. But what are you showing here, Sundown?
So I'm going to come back to that, Caleb, because I got a thought on that. But this actor Lloyd Howes, there's some rumors floating around that he's going to be playing Cregan Stark in House of the Dragon season 2.
Ooh.
So
yes, let's talk about this.
Let me see if I don't know if this is his Instagram. Maybe it is his Instagram. Can you guys see the Instagram?
Yep.
No.
And it's private. Which
it won't be private for long if he ends up being Cregan Stark.
We've already seen several actresses and actors start making their stuff private when these announcements start getting made.
Here's the thing. I mean, there's also been talk that he could be playing Ben Blackwood. But
he looks like a Stark.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
That white ass skin.
Here's the thing that concerns me about the visual look. He looks a little bit like our guy from Dune, right?
Yes.
And anybody that knows anything about Cregan Stark, the old warrior of the North, right? The nickname he gets. Cregan Stark ends up being this guy that's this powerful northern lord, right? That's got the beard, and maybe this guy within 1 or 2 seasons can grow it and look the part,
or just pay some,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not like Kit Harington didn't look babyface and young in season 1, but the problem is this show is only going to go 4 seasons, so that Kit had 6 or 7 seasons to grow into it.
Yeah.
This was the guy.
He's like 21 at this, or no. Yeah, he's like 21 at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, he's 20. So he's 22. So his uncle is the ward after his father dies, and then I don't think we're going to see him.
I'm trying to be careful without spoiling it too much because I know a lot of people haven't read Fire and Blood.
Yeah, so I think we're going to pick up with him being the Lord of Winterfell, right? We're going to see all that has already occurred, and he's in charge. So this is the guy that was
Jacaerys is off to Winterfell, so.
Yeah, so this is the guy that I think should play it, is the guy from Vikings Valhalla.
Okay.
This is the dude. Now,
I wouldn't be mad at that, you know?
Now, let me tell you, Caleb, does that not look like Cregan Stark?
I'm actually looking at a photo of him right now, and I think it's like dead on.
How old is Cregan supposed to be again? I forget.
22.
That's the thing. This guy looks really manly and older than 22.
See that, to me, when you read the book, when you see that's Cregan Stark, like that's, you know, he's a little thinner version of Jason Momoa, Leo Suter. But
he's better looking than Momoa, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, it's like this guy's already played in Vikings Valhalla and did a good job. Like,
is he done with that?
I think Vikings Valhalla, it may be done. I'm not really sure, but you know, this is his character. You know, this guy can show up in this next season and not have the full beard or hat. You know, he can morph into it, right? So there have been rumors that Leo Suter had auditioned for the part, that he was rumored for the part. So I don't know that I believe Lloyd Howes necessarily, but his name is being mentioned. Yeah, Timothy Chalamet. That's who Lloyd looks like to me, Mattuine. Like, I don't know. I mean,
I'm not a fan of Timothy Chalamet.
Cregan Stark
he's killing it in Dune, dude.
Yeah, he fits Dune, but like Cregan Stark is
a man.
He's more like Ned than he is, you know, John. So, I mean, the role that Cregan Stark plays in the end of this story, I mean,
he has an unwanted burden of running Winterfell that was never supposed to be his. So he has like a lot of like darkness around him, and then Jacaerys is supposed to kind of like break through that shell. So I could see them casting someone that's very rugged on the outside, and they're gonna have to.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that it's Leo Suter, but you know, it's possible that it's Lloyd Howes. So, you know, we'll see. And you know,
speaking of Vikings, did you guys see the Viking show from the History Channel?
Yeah.
Dude,
Ragnar?
why haven't no, it's just called Vikings.
Oh, you talking about with Ragnar?
Dude, yes.
Vikings? No, I have not watched Vikings yet.
That show is so good. What baffles me is why they didn't hire any of them for this. Like, I forget her name, the chick that plays Lagertha, she's amazing.
I mean, she looked like a Targaryen.
Dude, yes. Yes. I hope that they use her. I really want to see her.
Well, I think isn't one of the things that HBO likes to do, don't they like to get actors and actresses that are kind of no names?
Yeah. Why don't they do what they like? You know, Ryan Murphy with American Horror Story, he uses like the same actors every season but for new roles. I would love for them to do that with Harry Lloyd, the guy that played Viserys.
Well, they could do that with him because he was only in what, 6 episodes.
I think he's such a good actor.
I think they could easily do that. I'm curious what y'all think. I think we all did videos on this, but I'm curious what y'all think about the 3 dragon seeds we've seen so far.
I'm not 100% sold that it's Nettles. I think it is. I just dropped our video.
Oh no, not that one. So I didn't even know they. So what I haven't seen anything about Nettles. I've seen the stuff about.
It was on my thumbnail.
Ulf the White.
Yeah, the quote unquote Valerian and crap. What's the other one's name?
Hugh Hammer.
Hugh Hammer.
Yes, Hugh Hammer and Adam Valerian.
Yeah,
what do y'all think?
I think Clinton Liberty is Adam Valerian. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
How do you think they're going to play it? Do you think they're going to make him?
Don't be too spoilerish.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, whatever. Screw it.
Do you think? Well, shit. I mean, I already said it in the video. Do you think he's going to be the father's son or the son's son?
So on the video that I made, I talked about this too. And funny enough, I actually spoke to Ryan Kinnell about it because he's a huge fan of all this too. He's read the books. He doesn't think that's Nettles because Nettles is supposed to be way younger.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it is. I talked to someone that I've been trying to get on a stream, and we're working through it, just scheduling it. It may take a couple weeks, and they didn't confirm that was Nettles. They're over there. They're in England.
Oh,
so
okay.
So that's why I did my video, and I said, look, it certainly makes sense that it would be Nettles if this is Hugh and this is Ulf, but I don't know that.
You see, Felicity, if you're watching, that's why I put a question mark after Nettles. You got to cover your bases when you're doing these rumors. I put a question mark. I'm like, Nettles in the thumbnail.
Yeah, I don't know. So if you can see there, that's the discussion is around.
What's funny is the guy on the left looks like the drawings of Adam Valerian.
Well, that right there is Hugh Hammer.
No, left, far left.
It looks like Tormund in a few years.
No, so this is let me pull up.
Yeah, I know Clinton Liberty is playing Adam, but the drawings that fans have done of Adam in the past, it looked a lot like the other guy.
I just used Dumbledore's wand as a back scratcher.
That's okay.
Let's see.
I made fun of someone the other day for not remembering the name of the Elder Wand.
Yeah, we
too much nerd lore to keep up with. I'm getting old. I forget a lot of stuff. I've read these books so many times, and sometimes I'm like, wait, what was the name?
Yeah, it's I'm not sure. I thought the person that I reached out to was going to be like, yeah, of course that's Nettles. I mean, look at the photo, and they didn't say that.
It looks like Nettles has dirt on her face. Maybe that was just because they were on the beach, and that's why she's.
Why would she be there if it wasn't her?
Yeah, Mataween, Timothy Chalamet is playing Bob Dylan.
He fits that role, I think, though. Like that's
his hair.
He's lanky and emo.
So he'll just wear that hat.
I'm probably from the Dylan years from when he showed up in New York and Greenwich Village until Blood on the Tracks, 74. I'm probably an expert on Dylan, so I'm going to be a little critical of him playing Dylan, but I think he can play it. I think it's all about the script and angle that comes from the story. But on House of the Dragon, the question you asked Caleb about, and we don't want to get into too much detail for people that don't know and don't want to be spoiled.
Right.
So let me see how I can put this in a way that doesn't give anything away. So the question about Adam of Hull is the TV series, has made it very clear that Fire and Blood, the book Fire and Blood is from the point of view of the Maesters, right? So it's just like our history books. It's like, well, here's the history, but
which I love, by the way. I know a lot of people didn't like that about Fire and Blood. It's to be honest, I've listened to that audiobook at least 3 times. I just find it fascinating, like how you can have such a giant universe that it's so big that you're able to do history books within the universe and have it read like a history book.
And hey, wouldn't it be great if a year or 2 from now, Lucasfilm has new leadership and someone walks into a writer's room and says, we don't have to retcon anything. It's all from a certain point of view.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That would be the greatest
That'd be such a cop-out.
Oh, it'd be great. You put out a movie and people go, wait a second. What is Luke doing walking around?
Just give
one point of view of history. You didn't, who was
on the island?
Give it the Maester treatment. But
who was on the island when he disappeared? So
I mean, it has a lot of potential, just like because I was worried when this show came out. I'm like, well, I hope they at least stick to the book, but there's not going to be anything new for me. But one of the things that shocked me was at the end when Aemon, you realize he didn't mean to kill Luke from was it Ares? I was confused. Arex and Syrax. Arex.
Yeah.
So that's what they said. They said, in the books, it was in the book Fire and Blood. It's the history is told by the Maesters, but nobody was in the sky except for Aemon and so it tells you the show shows what really happened. So
and all 3 POVs, are they're all black supporters. Aren't
That
they?
is true too. I think so. Yeah.
Of course they would say, of course he meant to kill him.
Right.
And because Eamon has a reputation already.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, I love that scene where he was getting all uppity, and then David just kind of walks up, looks at him, and he's like, "Oh, nope, not yet."
Dude,
not
just the way that, like, when I saw Luke arrive at Storm's End, I'm like, oh no, here it comes.
And Storm's End was so cool.
Mm-hmm. It really was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so I think the TV series is going to give us an answer to a question that a lot of people talk about, which is, it's thought that you have to be of Targaryen blood to ride a dragon. And the TV series is going to answer that question. I don't think they can duck it unless they have really, really smart writing, which, I think they do, but I think they're going to address it, because the dragon seeds will pose that question as, wait a second, do you have to be of Targaryen blood to ride the dragons, or is that really a myth?
Well, I thought it was you have to be of Valyrian blood, and that the Targaryens were just the ones.
No. Corlys can't ride a dragon. Laenor and Laena did, because they were the children of daughters of
yeah.
Well, they're called dragon seeds for a reason.
But they're also. I thought there were other houses that had dragons in Valyria.
Well, in the Doom, yeah, they're all dead.
But the Valyrians were not one of them.
Okay, right, but
unless I don't, be a Nikki, am I wrong on that? Unless I don't remember the history, the Valyrians were seafaring, and they were not dragon riders. That's my understanding of it.
Yeah, I don't think I remember reading anything from them, because if they came from old Valyria, it wasn't very many of them, because Valyria's gone. Let me look that up.
So Adam of Hull, depending upon who Adam of Hull's father is, if the show decides to cover that, that's going to answer the question.
Okay, yeah. Though they originate from the city of dragon lords, the Valyrians never had dragons of their own. Instead, they raised ships. Yeah.
Yeah. Corlys can. My understanding is Corlys can't ride a dragon.
So
correct. Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that I'm seeing is you just need Valyrian blood. And that the Targaryens just have, like, it's the magic of their blood that makes it, let's say, easier.
This is what I mean by I've read the books a million times and I forget stuff.
Yeah. See, there's all these
too much lore.
Yeah, it's because the big problem is that George started with no dragons,
right,
and then started to do this other stuff. So he has to. So he never really had, at least as far as we can tell, a clear plan to his, let's call it, magic. And so we keep getting these.
You don't have to be a Targaryen to ride a dragon, but any bloodline that would have been able to that's not a Targaryen is dead. That's why the Targaryens,
especially in.
That's why the Targaryens are such a powerful house, because they're the only ones that can do it now. So they're the only dragon riders left, unless there's a random person that's had a whole lineage from old Valyria that survived. But no, before the Doom, definitely it wasn't just the Targaryens. Now, yes, because they're the only ones that survived.
So I guess that would answer the question of whose child Adam is. Not throwing names out, but I guess that answers the question.
We don't want to give that away, but you're right that the way the show ends up handling that, as far as Nettles, Adam of Hull, is going to be, it's easier with all White and Hugh, but with Nettles and with Adam, you kind of have to answer that question, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna.
Well, yeah, you're right. Damn, Caleb, yeah, you're right. And to answer Valiant's question, yeah, Doom of Valyria it's not known exactly what caused it. There's a lot of theories. My favorite theory has to be because, oh my God, I'm going to butcher this, but the house in Bravos, the House of the Undying. No, not the House of the Undying. The House of Black and White.
With
a man is no one. Well, they all used to be slaves for the Dragon Lords in Old Valyria, and they revolted and they worked underground, and they caused the entire the lore videos that Game of Thrones put out, they're really fun.
Oh,
the animated
you watched
ones.
the one about the Conquering?
Yeah, I've seen them all.
Oh, it's so good.
But it just completely got blown up. And I know we're getting a show about Nymeria as well.
Is that like finalized, greenlit, anything like that?
I think so.
Well, supposedly Nymeria and the Sea Snake are shelved for now. That
I would love a sea snake show.
Yeah, the only one that scares me is the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, because that's my favorite Song of Ice and Fire book out of all of them, and he's not done with it. Of course.
Yep. Nikki, like on the exact same wavelength here. Yeah, I was talking to Danny about this yesterday, and they're so good. The 3 stories we've gotten of Dunk and Egg are so good, and
that's someone I could see Harry Lloyd playing. TV. Like Harry Lloyd could totally be in that show somehow as one of the Targaryens.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull this up here. Here we go.
They have to cast Dunk correctly.
So here's Clinton Liberty, and he does not have the white dreads. He has the black dreads.
But if you scroll down, if assuming this is the same article I was reading, if you scroll down, there it is. There is another photo of someone on their knees, and they 100% have white dreads on.
Well,
so I don't know if it's
there's the dreads right there. He's on his knees.
Yeah, that's a.
Well, to be fair, Rhaenys in the books has brown hair.
Now this right here,
they gave her blonde hair in the show.
Can you guys see how wide this is? The water.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but I was told when I talked to someone who would know, it's like, how do you know the difference when you look at some of these photos between Dragonstone and Shipwrecker Bay, and like some of the shots? And I was told that it may or may not be in the season, but there's a wider shot of a wider bay, which could be Shipwrecker Bay, where something washes on shore, and you guys will know what that is, right? So there's Clinton Liberty, which if they play his character right, so there's Clinton Liberty again in the water.
So there's a picture with Clinton and that guy that you see. So the guy that you saw kneeling earlier is the guy back there in the background, and that's Clinton up there.
Yeah, because Clinton has the pants on. He's in costume.
We're like detectives right now.
I think that's his double. I think that's just his double.
Probably.
Caleb.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. Danny said something about his brother, but I don't remember a brother.
See there, so you see, kind of he has that, sea snake kind of pirate. Yeah,
I love that. So
I don't know if they're gonna, because the thing is, like I mentioned before, Rhaenys in the books had brown hair, not blonde hair, like in the show. So I don't think, unless they want to keep anybody that might have Targaryen blood with blonde hair, I don't think that has to be like a give or take.
Yeah.
Look at. Well, never mind.
Well, and your girl at Salty and Fire, I wouldn't count on any of these shows for sure. The Flash costs Warner Brothers a ton. Listen, they're selling a lot of their licensing right now to stop the bleeding. And
I heard about that.
So
I've been trying to sell that music one for a while now, haven't they?
You talking about the Idol?
I'm not sure. They just sold some music rights for like $500 million.
So Purple Rain, the movie Purple Rain. They're selling that. They're selling Batman, the Keaton stuff.
It's crazy.
Yeah, $500 million. And I've been trying to dig around on the Jon Snow stuff. And
do you think that show's gonna happen?
I do. I just think it could be. I mean, it may not hit the screens for 5 years, because you've got House of the Dragon, which is going to run for 4 seasons, and you've got A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is, as soon as the strike is over, is going to be full tilt, right? So it's probably going to be late 2024, early 2025 due to the strike. And I was told by someone that I trust is that they are not going to have 3 shows on at one time. They don't want to oversaturate Game of Thrones, so or that larger world, right? So if they're going to launch the Jon Snow series, even if it's a limited series, or if they're going to do a movie, whatever they're going to do, they're going to want to have it tie into the end of House of the Dragon. You know, they're going to want to make sure that they don't have too much out there to dilute it. So, so I think they have to kind of play it by ear and say, okay,
they're trying to force George to write the damn books.
Well, and so I was also told that George was all in on Dunk and Egg, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and had slow played Kit. You know, Kit's lead writer is the guy that did Gunpowder on HBO.
Okay.
So if you remember that series, the limited series Gunpowder, you can look up the guy's name. All you'd have to do is Google Kit Harington's partner on Gunpowder, and the guy's name, I forgot the guy's name, but he wrote the script, and supposedly George R. R. Martin sent back a bunch of revisions, and that's why the head of programming or someone came out and said that we're working on it, but nothing's done yet, because George isn't ready to go there yet, because that's completely different from House of the Dragon, Aegon the Conqueror, Night of the Seven Kingdoms. If you do Jon Snow, no matter what way it gets spun, that is perceived by the fan base as a sequel to Game of Thrones. Like, yeah, I don't care how and George knows that. So, you know, I think that they're going to space it out. And Casey Bloys, I mean, these are expensive shows too. So what your girl's saying on here about the debt, I mean, look, I mean, we can say, what are the things that make money for Warner Brothers? Harry Potter. We are going to see a new Harry Potter. That's going to happen.
Yep.
Scary.
We're going to see Lord of the Rings because they have the rights to do the movies, right? Like,
right.
We're going to see that, and we're going to see Game of Thrones content. But how much of that, when you have to spend $20 million an episode, I don't think they're going to give them the budget on Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I think that's going to be a very contained story, and I wouldn't be surprised if the episodes are shorter.
What was the budget for the first, let's say, like 2 seasons of Game of Thrones? I feel like I read that they were shooting it for like $5 million a season episode.
They certainly couldn't. Even when season 2, when they did the Battle of Blackwater Bay, they couldn't show.
Yeah. Well, they did that. That was like the first major battle because they had to skip, which I forgot which one they had to skip. And
Oxcross.
Yes, they had to skip that one.
The budget for Game of Thrones season 1 was said to be around $50 million. So $5 to $6 million an episode.
Yeah. So I mean, you could do Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Because think about the first, whether it's they don't
really go anywhere. They got
a 15% budget increase for season 2, so it went up to almost $8 million.
Yeah. So I mean, think about whether they do the collection book Night of the Seven Kingdoms as the first season with 2 or 3 episodes per story, or 1 season per story
per novella.
Yeah. What do they do? You build that first you build a war parties scene, and you do the tournament of Ashford Meadows right there. So it's not a super expensive. They already have everything they need. They've already got the lightning banners. They've already got the Targaryen banners.
Because a lot of it is tournaments and trekking through the forest. So
when the dragons got bigger,
the third one is the one with going between the castles, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. That would be the most expensive one, I think.
So they were at $100 million budget in season 6, and then the dragons got bigger. When the dragons got bigger, and they, they did how many episodes? They did 6 episodes in season 8,
right?
And 7 in season 7.
And so it was between $90 and $100 million for 6 episodes.
It's crazy.
So, yeah, so they got to around 16, 17 million.
And also, though, there aren't even what's the VX to do in in Night of the Seven Kingdoms?
Now, how
Making
about
a
this?
castle.
Do what? Say that again.
What VX would you do? Would you use in Night of the Seven Kingdoms? Castles.
Yeah, you would just do. You would find locations that if you've been to Ireland, and England, you see where they film some of these castles.
Yeah.
They have a part of it that's real, and then they CGI. They build the green screens.
So the rest is just going to be background.
Yeah. Right.
You don't need a CG. You're not going to CG giant armies. You're not going to CG dragons.
Right.
You don't need to spend millions
of dollars.
Well,
look at the tournament in the first episode of House of the Dragon. That's essentially a lot of the first novella, at least for Dunk and Egg. So a lot of it's just going to be practical, but not expensive because it's just scenery that they need.
And you probably spent a lot of money on.
So this is interesting. So outside of licensing, merchandising, and all the stuff post show, do you know what the highest earning season was for Game of Thrones in revenue?
4.
No.
6.
There you go, Nikki. So
4 is my favorite.
People sleep on season 6. I don't know why.
6 is great. 6 is great. It ends with
one of the coolest crappy moments. It has some crappy moments. Like they ended up totally flopping the Arya storyline in Bravos. Like they did a lot. But yeah, season 6 is awesome. You got Battle of the Bastards. You got Jon coming back from the dead. You got
the White Wolf.
Winds of Winter is one of my favorite Game of Thrones episodes of all time. Season 6, episode 10. Dude, get out of here. That final shot of Daenerys coming to Westeros with her dragons. Like, you can't beat that.
It's a good shot.
There you go. So this is a very interesting chart here. So it shows you the earnings from HBO. And to me that makes sense. They hit the pinnacle in season 6.
Peak.
And then people knew that they cut the last 2 seasons back. They knew about the show ending and so
season 7 would have been a way to turn people on to season 8, but it didn't do much for many people. Like you got scenes in season 7 that people wanted to see, like certain characters that have never talked before, like Cersei and Jon and Daenerys and all that stuff, but it ended up really like not paying off. And what Felicity said in chat, we saw it was been like what was it, 7 years since we got that King in the North scene.
And hey, how about this? King of the North. So look at this. Tell me whether there's going to be a Jon Snow series. Jon Snow is the rightful heir to the throne when it comes to earnings, being responsible for $501 million of HBO's earnings based on his time on screen across all 8 seasons.
Dude, the only thing that scares me about Kit Harington coming back is the comments he made about playing Jon as like some toxic male. I'm like, bro, Jon was a bitch for most of the time. What are you talking about, toxic male? So I hope if he comes back, he doesn't try to like, feminize him or whatever. Just come on. You're in the wild part.
Now, one thing I didn't factor in, if you averaged it out over 10 episodes, season 8 would have been the highest because I forgot they only had 6. So that revenue was for 6 episodes versus 10 in season 6.
They forgot to put some budget into the lighting. They forgot to turn the lights on.
I know we all criticize season 8 and rightfully so, but man, look at that. $88 million per episode, and they only did 6. So HBO was pissed that they got shorted 4 episodes. That's $330 something million.
Aside from the long night looking dark, most of that season looked amazing. Like the Bells episode, I hate that episode, but the dragon, Drogon just destroying the city looked amazing. And the best episode in that season is A Night of the Seven Kingdoms when they're all just talking around the fire.
The second episode, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And look at this,
I really like that moment when Jaime knighted.
These characters here that were supporting characters, but were such fan favorites because they knew, less is more. So like Grey Worm, average, per minute on screen. All these characters, Davos included, Brienne, like they were so well written and positioned with the amount of screen time they had. Right, they gave you a little, and then they focused back on the core characters.
Davos is incredible,
he's so good.
Although the best thing ever is when you go through all the titles for Daenerys, and then he says, "This is Jon Snow. He's King of the North."
Yeah,
it's the best.
Oh man!
Yeah, this is, this is when people say, well, I don't think there's going to be a Jon Snow series. Give me a break. When you look at the revenue generated by him, they just trying to get the script right. That's all they're trying to do.
Oh my God, what Felicity said when he said, I thought you were still rowing when he runs into Genji again. That was funny too.
Yeah, that was like fan service, right?
But it was done well. It was like, it's true. I mean, that's the last time we saw him, so
he was rowing, yeah.
You know what I think with the Snow show? I think what has to happen is before that show comes out, there has to be another book that comes out. George 100%. Can't keep letting that story surpass his books anymore. Like, he didn't expect Game of Thrones to surpass his books.
Nikki, you want me to tell you something? I think Winds and Winter's done. I think it's been done. Yeah.
There's just a lot of rewrites.
So? I think there could be a lot of reasons why he hadn't released it yet.
Like what?
I think it's done.
I think Winds, the reason why it's been so delayed, I think Winds is a harder book to write for him than Dream of Spring. Winds has a ton of knots to untie before you get to A Dream of Spring. So he wrote himself into a lot of corners. Didn't he say a couple years ago he regrets killing certain characters off because that's making it harder for him to write things? I think he's talking about Catelyn Stark, in my opinion.
So I think I think his biggest mistake was introducing a lot of the magic in.
True.
I think it's the third book when it starts with the maesters and the candles. He introduces all this this weird magic, and I don't think he knows how to make the magic.
What's it called? The Dragon Flame?
I
said Dragon something. That would have been wild. To
Dragonfire?
No. The name of the candle. Candle. I need to read these books again. It's been so long. Glass candle. It's made out of dragon glass.
Glass, yeah.
And they light it, and if there's another dragon glass candle somewhere else, they can see.
I'm pretty sure it just all of a sudden lit. It lit itself, didn't it? Because isn't it connected to the red comet?
Something like that. That's the point. Yeah, there's too much magic.
So think about this, and I'm gonna give you my theory, and I can't prove it, but this is my theory. So, Dance of Dragons came out July of 2011. Prior to that,
John is still dead in the books. Poor John.
Prior to that, Feast for Crows was 2005, so 6 years, and then prior to that was Storm of Swords, 5 years, and so 5 to 6 years in between books, right? So, season 5 of Game of Thrones came out in 2015. So 4 years after Dance of the Dragons book. And it's not even, George doesn't talk about it, but it's known now that he had a break with David and Dan. They kind of hit it during the show.
They know how to
there were a few things in the last season or two where he talked about he wanted it to go for 10 to 13 seasons. But by and large, they played nice with each other. Mm-hmm. And they haven't, Dan and Dave have not talked about George at all. And George has kept his interviews there's very much limited what can be said about David and Dan.
Well, Felicity and I read an article the other day that George was saying that the one thing that House of the Dragon did 10 times better than Game of Thrones was the dragons. Dude, that's a lot of shade. Because to me, I think even though obviously now they're gonna do it better, but the dragons were great. They had a character to them, but I get what he means. They're very similar looking.
I think they had the falling out around the time of the production of season 5. So right before it came out. And I think George, had all the obligations, the public, appearances and all the stuff. And I think over that year or so between season 5 and season 6, I think he scrapped half the book and he's changed it.
So you don't think it was the negative reaction to season 8 that made him change stuff?
I think George knew what they were doing with the show and was the Salty Inferno. He was salty over Lady Stoneheart. He was clearly upset that they did not have Lady Stoneheart in there.
There's a lot they didn't have in.
He said that a lot, hasn't he? That's one of his.
Yeah, that's the one sore spot. Whenever something comes up about Lady Stoneheart or something, he kind of lets it slip. That's the one time when he talks about.
That's why I think that's the character he means that he regrets killing, because he had to bring her back as a freaking ghost because he killed her. So he had to incorporate her again somehow. And Special Ray, if you're listening, and because I know you're still doing a watch through, cover your ears. But like he did give a few supposed bookends that are going to happen to D&D, like Bran being king, which makes more sense in the book. Like Bran's journey in the book is so trippy. Like it's way better. Bran was missing for a whole season in season 5. He wasn't even.
Yeah.
We see him and he's gone through puberty.
There's certain things he can't change though. Didn't he come out and say that Bran isn't the king or something like that? He's like backtracking on some of his
He
comments.
said like the ending's going to be different.
Yeah.
And I guess because that's part of the ending.
If you're writing a 350 to 450 page book and you scrap 2/3 of it and start over, yeah, you could, depending upon the type of writer you are, the speed with which you write, you could have it done in a year or two. If you just scrap, 2/3 of it.
So do you think he's working on Dream of Spring instead?
I think he's going to release Winds of Winter. I think he completely rewrote that book, which if you think about a 4 to 6 year time frame to write these books at 1,500 pages each, that would explain it going 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So the only question I have now is, with all the projects he's been involved in, that are some that nobody has any interest in, I do think some of that has slowed him down. But I think that he sees Winds of Winter and Dream of Spring is one large project, right? So I think that we're going to get Winds of Winter, and then I think it's whatever happens to him health wise, his age. I think Dream of Spring will be very quickly thereafter be released.
You know what I think
That's my take.
Is slowing him down on Winds of Winter. Have you guys heard of the theory, the night lamp theory? It's a very popular theory in the Game of Thrones fandom. So essentially, right now where we're at in the book is the Boltons are held up in Winterfell's castle, and Stannis is camping out. His army's dying, and what they're going to try to do. This is like the theory that people have. The lake that they're on, they're drilling holes in it, and they're going to start lighting night lamps to bring out Bolton's army, because eventually they're going to run out of supplies too, because they got a ton of people over there too, and it's going to draw the army out, and they're going to start falling in holes in the lakes because Stannis' army is outnumbered, so they're coming up with this. So I think George is stuck on that, because you also got the fake Arya in Winterfell.
Yeah,
you supposedly got Mance Raider undercover there with the wildlings killing people left and right in the Winterfell castle. You got the lamprey pie. What's the name of the? Oh my gosh, what's it called? That fat guy, the fat lord. Supposedly, they have a theory that like he ate the children of the Frey kids that got killed. Do you know that theory?
Mandela?
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm just typing.
Every time you say pie, I think of hot pie.
Oh,
you're not talking about the Lord of. You're not talking about Wyman.
Here it is. Right? The Frey pies theory suggests that Wyman Manderly orders the killing of the three Freys: Rhaegar, Simon, and Jared, who disappeared on the way from White Harbor to Barrowton, and Lord Manderly then has them baked into the 3 huge meat pies he brings for Ramsay Bolton's wedding at Winterfell. So there's chaos going on in Winterfell.
I don't think that's gonna be. I don't think that's true.
I'd be great if it was, but there's also the Marinese issue with Dany having to deal with all the crap that George put her in way across.
Right.
So he has to undo a lot of these Marinese knots, and
you got to do it well. Otherwise, we're going to hate you.
And Barristan Selmy is still alive in the books.
Yep.
Did you see where the guy that played Euron Greyjoy?
Oh, yeah.
He came out and said, I hated what they did with me in the show.
They made him like some Hot Topic pirate.
Yeah. He's like, I wish I could have done, because he read everything. Like when he got cat, I think was when he got cat.
Greyjoys,
he read it all.
Talk about a storyline that I think is the most interesting and most fantastical storyline out of everything. Euron Greyjoy and what's the name? Yeah, Euron Greyjoy. He's demonic in the books, like demonic. He's drinking what's it called that turns your tongue purple?
Wine?
No. Not wine. It's like it's basically like their version of dropping acid.
Yeah, it's like
I do not remember.
Stuff. And like there's theories that he's warging into humans, which you're not supposed to be doing.
Oh, right.
He has Balon tied to the ship. He's like a priest, Damphair. Dude, that dude's a maniac.
Felicity, you're talking about George, pissing the fans off. But if he finishes the books. I think if this man comes out with the books, the ending,
all is forgiven.
And Danny doesn't do it, the ending is not John killing Danny. It will be the ultimate checkmate on David and Dan in the end of Game of Thrones. Like the fans would love him for that.
But here's another thing that they failed to do. They
he'll do it.
They didn't bring in Fagon either, the fake Aegon that's coming over.
Yeah, that wasn't.
That's a huge catalyst for Danny's ultimate turn, which I could foresee John maybe killing her, depending how he decides to write it. That's the thing. Like, there's so many elements that they left out. The Fagon, Lady Stoneheart.
Yeah, young Griff, Lady Stoneheart. Yeah, so I think that's my theory is that he scrapped the book after the falling out with them, and that would explain also why, as they've done these new shows, the ones that have been greenlit are the ones that George is heavily involved in and has a major say-so in. So I think for him to get back in with Casey Bloys and HBO, he wanted more control over this. I don't want this to happen again. Here's what happened. And so I think that's why he's very much lockstep with Ryan Condal, and whatever happens with Jon Snow. I mean, he's ultimately, Kit and his writers can turn the script in. If it's not what George wants to be the journey of Jon, that's not, they're not going to accept that. So, but they have said, I mean, George has said on his blog that he's working with Kit on the show, on the series. So he said that on his blog. So I just think he's put that on the back burner to say, look,
he's gotten his Hollywood shot now at this old age, and that's what he wants to do. I tend to lean. I know Gary from Red Rock, he has a take that I agree with, and it's that he got his shot in Hollywood that he never got before. So now he's taking advantage of that, and he's just put off Winds of Winter as much as possible because he knows it's not going to make some fans happy. He's scared. I think he's scared of putting out such a crazy book at this day and age. Can you imagine all the crazy stuff that goes down and now putting it on the culture we have today? It's kind of scary.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So let me pivot for a second. So you guys, my video's not out yet because I just have this awesome production team. But Tron has cast Evan Peters in the new part 3.
Evan Peters, my beloved. I love Evan Peters.
Who has become a great actor. Like, to me, when I saw Mayor of Easttown, I was like, this guy has arrived. Like, he is, I mean, Kate Winslet's a pretty hard act to follow. Like his scenes with her, I was like, okay, Evan has, he's arrived as an actor. Not as just celebrity famous. Like, he is a real actor.
Have you seen American Horror Story?
Yeah, I didn't watch every season. I think I stopped after the one in New Orleans. I didn't see
Coven. Really, you didn't watch the witch one?
I stopped after Coven.
I would say watch up to Hotel. Hotel's not everybody's favorite, but it just shows you the range that guy has. Like, he plays a different demented character every season, and you never stop and think of the other characters he's played. He's really talented.
Yeah, and he's, in Dahmer, literally, he killed it. I'm trying to be funny, but he killed it. So I think this is great casting. Here's my concern is he's playing opposite Jared Leto. And Morbius has made me like, okay, is Jared Leto had his moment from Dallas Buyers Club, and he's this quirky, weird guy that's kind of effeminate, and I don't know if I buy Leto as the lead, is the good guy, right? Is the lead in Tron. So, he's replacing Olivia Wilde, right? So he's going to be the program that, Matrix, like, he's going to be the program that goes to the outside world, which is what Olivia Wilde was doing at the end of Tron Legacy.
Okay.
Yeah. I just rewatched that. It's such a good movie.
Yeah. It's too bad Olivia Wilde is like,
crazy.
Yeah, hated. Like, yeah. So if you listen to Florence Pugh, like, she has nothing good to say about Harry Styles or Olivia Wilde. But so they're not bringing back Garrett Hedlund, and they're not bringing back Olivia Wilde, and so Jared Leto is going to play the newer version of her. So, which is where they were going to take the story after Legacy, which was we spent the time in the grid. Now we're in the real world. So bringing the grid to the real world, and Matrix-like. So it may not be anything revolutionary that we see, but so that's my only concern is Leto, a real life vampire. He probably is. He's probably like Army Hammer,
Probably why I
eating
love
body
him.
parts.
I
Yeah.
always say I'll join his cult. But the thing is, I think a lot of good actors get their duds, right? In acting roles. Like,
And
look at
maybe
Natalie. Look, I love Padme, but come on, not even the best actors in the world could make some of those lines work. Morbius, I think they overestimated how much people would be interested in it.
Yeah, nobody even knew who the character was.
Yeah.
The majority of the general audience doesn't even really know who Blue Beetle is. Like I'm
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
my kids were in the movie theater and they were like, they reacted to Blue Beetle. They were like, "This looks cool." Like, what is the Blue Beetle? Where's the Blue Beetle from? Like, they were asking me a million questions. And
You
I was
gotta
like,
tell
"Shut
him
up."
he's made for the Latinos. He's not made for
They-
us.
And you know what? They recognized the kid because of Cobra Kai. They were like,
Yeah.
"That's the guy from Cobra Kai." To them, to my boys, they think he's cool. Like the Latino, they're to them, this is just like a cool story. Blue Beetle, they were all in on that trailer. They were like, but they were asking me questions because like they don't know who he is. Like they don't know the character from the comics or games.
Well, I can suggest watching the
Same thing with
first two or maybe 3 seasons. Third season's not as good, but of Young Justice on Max, as it's called now. The first 2 seasons are phenomenal. The third and fourth season are meh at best.
Yeah, so listen, I want to see this new Tron. I mean, look, I've got Tron stuff. I got the Tron light box in my theater room, the poster. It's one of the great movie posters.
You gotta make a video touring the stuff that you got.
I know, I need to. It's right down the hall. Like I had Nick on the phone one night, FaceTime. He was like, "Turn around, wait a minute, show me what is that?"
Yeah.
Like I'm staring right now. I saw someone do a video that yesterday. He got all these variations of the Episode 1, Star Wars Episode 1 figures carded. And I'm watching it. I'm looking in the corner of my room, and I've got like 200 of them sitting right there. And it's only because I went in the attic and
what the hell?
Do it.
I pulled out a box. And when the figures came out in 1998, I can't remember. I got all of them. I got the variations, and I kept them all all carded. And so, like the little Anakin, where his backpack, one backpack is brown, the other has great blue on it.
That's awesome.
Like all the little variations. So I'm sitting there staring at it. And this guy was like doing his video. But so the Tron, like, I love Tron. I played the video game in the pizza parlor until the guy kicked me out when I was a kid. I love Tron. So I want to see
Game
it do well.
one was really cool too.
I'm just nervous about Jared Leto carrying the film. So I do think it's good news that Evan Peters is playing the villain because I have no
That's what he
doubts about
does.
Evan Peters.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be great in it. So, and we could still see Cillian Murphy playing Dillinger. He was Dillinger in Legacy. He was Dillinger's son.
Oh,
So we could see him back. They haven't announced that. No, Valiant Archer Leto was not in Tron Legacy. It was Cillian Murphy.
Is what's his name not coming back to reprise his role?
Jeff Bridges?
Bridges' son.
Garrett Hedlund? No.
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
How does this connect to it at all? It just takes part in the universe?
Because he's not coming back because the movie made like, I don't even have to look it up, 400 something million, but it was a big investment. And I don't think that with Disney opening the new ride and betting, because this is going to be a big budget movie, I don't think Garrett Hedlund, I don't think he's an actor they're going to bet on as the lead. I just don't. I mean,
see, I feel like continuity helps more than throwing in. I'm really sorry, Nikki. A guy that just had a terrible movie and is a terrible Joker.
Yeah, but Garrett he's taken supporting roles now on TV shows. He's in Tulsa King opposite Stallone.
That's right.
I
haven't seen it. I need to see that.
I mean, and so one of the things we were talking earlier about Indy, Garrett Hedlund, he's in Tulsa King.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so like Indy 5, it's projected to do it did 7 million Thursday night, 17 million Friday. People said 24 million. The 24 included the 7 million from Thursday. So it did 17 million on Friday. So we'll see what it did today, and then tomorrow it's looking like 57 to 65 million. 57 to 65 domestic for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is not good.
No.
And so I think the answer is, like, why did Flash do bad? Why did Indy do bad? Well, why is Indy potentially going to do bad? Well, first of all, Indy, he's 80 years old, and people growing up that are 12, 15, 18, 20, they don't give two flips about Indiana Jones. When the last movie came out, it was 2008. That's 15 years ago. A 15-year-old kid was just born. So it's you have to look at the audience. And then I think on top of that, there's COVID has changed people's habits. So I feel like everybody I talk to that I'm friends with, they're not going to the movies unless it's something that they feel like they have to go. Like Top Gun Maverick, everybody that I talked to said, man, Tom Cruise, I saw him on TV, said, you got to see this in an IMAX. You got, like, Tom Cruise sold that movie. He got out there and pushed hard. And then when you went to the theater, everybody that was in the theater when Top Gun Maverick came out, I don't know if you guys remember this, but before the movie started, Tom Cruise came on the screen and said,
I heard about that.
Thank you for coming back to the movies. We worked hard on this. We know it's been a long road.
Look at his tweet the other day. He was promoting Indy. He was promoting Barbie.
Absolutely.
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. See,
and the these studios, that's why they had him come out and say The Flash was really good. And I didn't dislike The Flash, but I wasn't perfect by any means.
He's like the unofficial spokesperson for theaters.
He's the movie. He's the movie guy.
He is as big as it gets in the business. He's what Spielberg was in the 90s when Spielberg was touting all the movies. And so Tom is that guy. So they're like, Tom, can you help us? We're struggling here. Like, and so he's the guy that's pushing the movies.
Mission Impossible is going to be one of, if not the only movie I see in theaters this year.
Well, Dune 2, baby. Come on.
I'm sorry. I'm not a Dune guy. I cannot stand Timothée Chalamet.
So when does Dune come out? Holidays?
November, right?
So it's going to come out Thanksgiving?
Probably. I would imagine so. Right around then.
Let's see. Dune.
You got
Dune
Christopher
2.
Walken in there, bro. That's my guy.
Walken's so good.
November 3rd.
Extremely underrated Bond villain.
So November 3rd. So if Dune has any type of legs at all, like if people react to it positively, it's gonna get the Thanksgiving holiday crowd and could carry over to Christmas. If it's like Top Gun Maverick now I don't know that it will, but if it does, now Mission Impossible, the only thing I'm thinking it's going to be around 850 to 950 million. The only reason I'm thinking it won't go north of $1 billion is because the movie's long. And I was looking at it yesterday. If the movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes and these idiots that run the movie theaters make you sit through 20 minutes of commercials and trailers.
I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of it.
Then that means it's one viewing a day that Mission Impossible does not get at the theaters. So if they release that in 3,500 theaters, calculate that. Caleb, how much money are they giving up by having one less showing a day?
10
million a day? 8?
Could be something like that. Yeah, you have 3,500 theaters. Let's say, you're not going to sell at every theater. So let's say like 40 tickets a theater. What is it now? Like $16 a ticket?
Yeah, for adult tickets.
That's a lot of money. Speaking on the commercials thing, because you were talking about that earlier, Nikki. I was fortunate enough to go to the Regal event when they had Return of the King Extended Edition come out. It's the only Lord of the Rings movie I've ever seen in theaters, and the movie's supposed to start at 7:00. So Danny and I get there at 7:00, and the movie did not start until 7:40. Regal had
at 11 o'clock.
No, it was the extended edition. I got out at 1 a.m. Yeah, I slept there. Yeah, we got out. The movie was over at 1 a.m.
Hey, I took a date to the movie to Titanic, and I was so mad I was like, we got to go because it was so long. And she goes, I want to see what happens. I go, what happens?
Wow, let's go.
I was so
sinks.
I was so mad, you know, like she was like, I want to see what happens. I go, the ship sinks. Everybody dies, probably but the girl. And she goes, no, we gotta watch it.
The girl doesn't die because she's there at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. So I go, so everybody's gonna die. He's gonna die because she's telling the story. So, but she makes me stay. And then I'm even madder because I knew that she pushed him off the board, right? She pushed him off. I go,
oh, he could have. Mythbusters proved it too.
You really love this guy, and you pushed him off the board, and he froze to death. What a great ending, you know. But no, Ryan Kennel, thanks for jumping in, man. RK Output. Dune 2 has a $120 million budget compared to Indy at 300. I was told Indy was like over 330 because they did not one but two reshoots.
How crazy is that budget?
And they have not acknowledged yet, and they'll probably hide it on the books. Harrison got hurt, and they had delays in shooting for at least a month. So think about what does that cost? How is that allocated when you have a large crew like that is not working on not filming Harrison? They could have been doing scenes with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, you know, who is you know, again So talking about what I liked about Indiana Jones, I liked the first part of the movie. I don't think they have the CGI. They don't have the CGI right yet. For whatever reason, whoever's doing that, I know they hired the deep fake guy that got famous on the internet. His eyes still look glassy. It takes you out of the movie. So when he's running on top of the train, he looks like looks like Pitfall, the video game. He's running. You know. But the beginning of the movie was okay. There's a boy in it that out of nowhere, within 10 seconds, learns how to swim when he can't swim, and he learns how to fly a plane.
So the question is, that budget, that 300 million, do you think it justifies that CGI? Like that 20 minutes, do you think that's where it went? Most of it.
If that's where it went, I am in the wrong business.
Yeah, to me, I think that these big
did it look better than Luke Skywalker in Book of Boba Fett?
No, he didn't.
Oh, okay. Wow.
He didn't. I mean, that's just but so the movie got me. I guess it was tough for me. I saw Ryan talking about it, and I've listened to other people. You know, I'm not going to argue with anybody who hates it, because I know why they hate it, and I'm not going to argue with Matt and some other people who really like it. I kind of fell somewhere in between, but I did walk out of the theater saying, just like Paulie Latino saying, I think he had the best reaction is this movie necessary?
I think most people feel like, why was this
That's the one thing I cannot is the beginning of the movie is has to make a 15-minute movie no soul better than the rest of it. So I was ready to blame Phoebe Waller-Bridge, because I'm not a fan of her. I watched Fleabag. I hated her in Solo. The fact that she became the brains of the Millennium Falcon for the rest of history blows my mind. But
I don't want to talk about
I think they
always forget about that.
They wrote her character that way. So I'm not going to give too much away, but and Ryan, I don't know if Ryan's seen it, right? Has RK Outpost seen the movie?
Yeah.
There's two things that jumped out at me that I was like, is it her? Is it the writing? And one I think is her, and one was the writing. So the first one was she's sitting in a bar and she's talking to Indy. They've just run into each other. And so she's talking to him, and she's talking about her father's work, and her eyes, she completely overacts. She's looking at him, and she's laughing. And I'm like, why didn't he yell cut and say, Phoebe, less is more? It literally, my son was sitting next to me. He's 8. And he goes, what is wrong with her? Like a total child's reaction to why is she making that face? And I was like, I don't know. And so that was a classic example of she overacts. Her facial expressions you'll see it when you watch the movie. You're like, how long has she been acting? She's a complete overactor. And it reminds me of that guy who used to be on CSI Miami, David, the redheaded guy. He overacted everything. And so then there's a scene later on when they get off a boat and someone has died. And she's like, "Hey, we made it." And Harrison, goes, "My friend died." And that's what you're saying as the person in the theater. You're going, "Yeah." You're kind of you're laughing.
You're on his side. You're like, "Yeah, my friend just freaking died."
David Caruso, yeah, the worst overactor ever. And so and I was like, "Well, that's not her overacting. That's the way it was written." Like they wrote that to where.
Well, I don't think this is a good genre for her either. Like, what the hell is she doing in an Indiana Jones movie?
And that gets into Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in that movie because Kathy Kennedy wanted what she brought to the table, not as an actor, but as someone who, from Fleabag, is a social justice warrior, someone who wants to, break down the male hero archetype. And that's what Kathy
she's behind the next
Supposedly.
Lara Croft show.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Supposedly? Okay, yeah.
I think it's still a supposedly. I'm not sure.
Robert Meyer Burnett, I was on his stream the other night, and I respect the hell out of Robert Meyer Burnett. I mean, I love R&B. But he started talking about how people going nuts on Kathy Kennedy and all the things she did in the 80s. And I want to say, hey, wait a second. We're not talking about her as a producer.
Right.
In the 80s, she was a producer. She is a studio head now, who, by the way, didn't run any other studios, smaller ones. She wasn't, running Lionsgate and then got the job to run Lucasfilm. She got brought in.
That's no one to blame but George for that, to be honest.
George, was friends with Frank Marshall and Steven, and they slid her in. And
she promised that she would.
And so my beef with Kathy is, as a fan, is you have run the studio into the ground, and that's not debatable. That's not even close to debatable. So,
Ryan cleared it up. Okay, she is running the Tomb Raider show, but she's not gonna be in it. Okay. Good. That's gonna be some. You can't handle raging feminist a show with a female lead because they're gonna just go over the top with that crap.
She already ruined James Bond, so.
But I will say, Ryan may disagree or he may agree, but the one thing that I did like, I mean, again, it kind of hit home with me because of my dad in Vietnam. There were some parts to it where, Harrison Ford's character, Indiana Jones is been through it, right? And there are times when she doesn't solve any of the clues. He solves them. She does the action part, with the fighting and kind of getting away and that kind of stuff. But when it comes time to discover things, he's basically discovering everything. And but the part of what's happened to him in his life, I do think worked. I do think that was written well. And I mean, and that was, that's the heart of the movie. And I don't know. I personally don't think Crystal Skull had that, but so it's complicated. I think this is the thing about movies, right? I used to have a friend growing up that couldn't sit through The Godfather and thought it was the stupidest thing that they'd ever, sat through. I hated what they did to Mutt. No spoilers yet.
Unfortunately, what's going to happen with this indie movie, regardless of your opinion, it's just going to come and go. It's not going to have a lasting effect, at least in my opinion.
I don't think any movies. What's a movie in the last 3 to 5 years, even before COVID, that I would say Avatar: The Way of Water is not going to have any lasting effect.
No, not especially with the next one coming out in 5,000 years.
I love Top Gun Maverick. I've seen it 45 minutes of it once since the theater. I enjoyed it.
Ironically enough, I think Super Mario.
Yeah, especially with if it actually does launch
the Nintendo-verse.
Nintendo-verse.
And we got Epic World opening up here in Orlando for a bunch
if the Avengers version of the Nintendo movie becomes a brawl game, that would just be awesome.
You know what's lasting right now? You know what? Because I don't think any movies right now are. There's nothing that is cutting edge. There's nothing that you walk out and say I got to see that again and again and again. The things that are lasting right now are gaming. the games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like gaming has taken over where the movies are. You know, my kids, they come home from school, they come home from practice, whatever they're doing, and it's Fortnite. It's, you know, that's what they do. And
I wish I could relive the launch of Hogwarts Legacy. What a time that was.
Oh my gosh. Those first like 2 or 3 weeks, that was incredible.
It's one of those games that you could still go back and play it, and you.
I was sitting there the other day thinking, you know, I kind of miss just walking around going, whoo, whoo, whoo,
yeah,
whoo.
yeah.
Well, and you know what's interesting about Harry Potter is my kids, they're 2 boys, 8 and almost 10, and so they're busy year round, school, 3 sports, it never stops. But when the Harry Potter movies are on, only in the last year, they didn't care at all. Like I tried to get my youngest when he was like 5 to be Harry Potter for Halloween. He had 2 flips about it. But in the last year, you know, those movies come on in sequence on TV, whether it's, you know, TNT or whatever. And I catch them like they're walking in the room out, or they sit down for and they watch it. Yeah. And they pay attention to it, and they pay attention, you know, to the scenes where it's world building, right? They're getting into school for the first time at Hogwarts, and you know, when the stairs start shifting around and the paintings are speaking. And
have you brought them to Universal?
Yeah, well, yeah, they've been there. Well, we went every year until this last spring break. I was done with Disney, and we took them to Universal. Now we've been going to Universal in the years prior, but we would do the Disney on property, stay at a different resort every time, and we'd spend 3 or 4 days. We'd do Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and then we'd spend 1 day at Universal. Well, this last time I said, I'm not giving any more money to them. I'm tired of it. It's nonsense. So we went to Universal. We stayed at the Hard Rock Resort and took that boat over to Universal, and they loved it. We did, I think, 3 days there, and of course, you know, they wanted.
I recommend coming when it's colder, because Harry Potter Land has like the fake snow on the ceiling, so it makes it feel more like lived in. Yeah, right now
I haven't done a Harry Potter World, and I kick myself like every day. I wake up and go, I really need to go do that.
That's the first thing on your mind when you wake up.
Yeah, and we did Poseidon's Fury, knowing that it was going to close.
Oh my God, that makes me so sad. It's one of my favorite attractions ever.
They love the lasers flying around everywhere.
I loved walking through the water tunnel.
They love all that. Of course, my little one's trying to like jump into the water. That's a whole different deal. But we were told when we walked out that they were going to be putting the Zelda there.
Wait, hold on. Did they tell you that, like, someone that works there said that to you?
Someone that was standing out because when we went to Poseidon's Fury, there was like a roped off area. Like we went through like an auditorium as we were going into the Harry Potter. Then we went and did Poseidon's Fury after that. So as we were cutting back through, we saw the same person as we were waiting in line for Hagrid's motorbike. Mm-hmm. And because Hagrid's was we had the fast passes, but Hagrid's was the only thing you couldn't use it on. And so when we came back around, we saw that person again. She was like, "You're back again." And we're like, "Yeah, we're going to do Poseidon's Fury. You know, I haven't done it in a while." And she was like, "You better do it before they close it." And I think my wife said, "What are they doing? What are they doing?" And she's like, "I think it's Zelda."
That's been the rumor. I feel like it wouldn't make sense if it was Zelda, because they're building Epic World. So you just might as well put it all there. But I mean, if they do it, they do it.
Yeah. So I want to share something. I thought this was, you know, while we're talking about, we'll talk for less than 5 minutes on Star Wars because it gets me mad. So Amelia Clark,
hail the Queen.
You know, talking about returning to Star Wars. I think the only thing that was good about the Solo movie was her, Kira.
I like what's his name.
So
I think he did fine.
So she kind of says, okay, you know, Kira's the one that has the most unfinished business. I really had pages about what her life was and what it could have been afterwards. She told Indy, but I'm afraid I've heard nothing for Disney Plus. So would you want to revisit your Star Wars character?
You want to revisit your Star Wars character?
Well, you know what?
Let me take this question. I got this question. Listen.
I'm in Marvel now. I'm not allowed.
Really?
That's for that stunt you pulled earlier, you degenerate scum.
Would you want to revisit your Star Wars character?
So I thought that was
Well,
That's interesting. The only time she's ever pissed me off is when she made that comic about the chick on her period and swinging from like armpit hair. You remember that?
No.
Amelia did.
It's called a mom or something like that. It's like a superhero that like she gets her powers when she's on her period.
Oh no, she did. Ryan knows this. She did a comic called Mother of Madness.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did that. And like she swings from her armpit hair or something like that. And like she gets her superpowers when she gets her period. It's really weird.
And I think she sold like no copies.
Good. She doesn't deserve to sell any of that garbage.
Kind of sounds like crap.
So Ryan,
Kinda.
so should I ask Ryan, like, so I'm gonna get a chance to meet Amelia on Friday. What question? Okay, so let me ask the chat this, and Risman will give me the PC answer. Ryan won't. So we're getting to meet Kit and Amelia together, and then Amelia separately after that, and then Andrew Garfield, which my sons are really looking forward to. Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch, Haley Steinfeld from Bumblebee and Hawkeye, Katie Sackhoff, who I'm really looking forward to because I do like Katie,
2%.
and Brie Larson. So okay, so for Ryan,
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
what should I ask or say to Brie Larson when I go up and meet her, and what should I say to Amelia and Kit? You know,
You asked for this, Ryan. You brought up the Brie thing. Now everybody's forever gonna know you as Brie's husband.
That is hilarious.
If you meet her, you should get her to say to Ryan, love.
Now, let me give you a caveat. I'll have my wife and 2 boys with me, so that may shape what I can say. See, I know he's asked who's the.
Yeah, but you can't ask that to Brie. It wouldn't make sense. It has to be a question for Brie Larson.
So, hey, Ryan, do you think Amelia is the reason that Momoa and Lisa Bonet broke up?
Wouldn't it be Amber Turd?
No.
No?
No. Jason Momoa doesn't get along with Amber.
Oh, okay.
I thought he defended.
They totally boned, I think.
Hey, what he says on Instagram is very different.
Well,
hey, so go back to the trial, the Amber Heard trial, where
I remember that, but I'm talking about when they were filming Aquaman 1. They totally had to have boned. That's my 2 cents.
Well, there was a lot of the Lisa Bonet fans and Momoa and Bonet fans were pissed at Amelia. They sent her a lot of bad stuff on social media, blaming her for because right at the time that they announced their separation, he was in London, and they had like a big meetup, and that was when he picked up.
They're very handsy with each other.
Yeah. So, but no, Amelia was dating the guy, Mary Steenburgen's and Malcolm McDowell's son, Charlie McDowell, and they broke up, and he married. You could look it up. He married another actress. Can't think of her name. Lily something.
Johnny Depp's daughter?
Yeah, Charlie McDowell was dating Amelia, and he started seeing Lily Collins, Phil Collins.
Oh,
daughter.
yes.
And so Charlie McDowell is the son of
beautiful
Malcolm McDowell and Mary Steenburgen, and they had I think Amelia and Charlie had a bad breakup, and then he married Lily like pretty soon after that, not too long. But yeah, so I got to figure out what I'm going to say. I guess I have to, the caveat of I have to be careful, like what I say with my wife and 2 boys standing there. But
do you need?
I got to say something funny to Brie Larson. I'm not going to be able to refuse saying something snarky to Brie Larson. Ask Brie if liking Ryan Kittle's tweet changed her outlook on life.
Do you know that story where he's saying that? Just for
well, I remember that
he tweeted something about like playing as her character in Fortnite, and she liked the tweet, and then like a ton of people were tweeting at her.
She didn't know Ryan's background.
Yeah, it wasn't it his first win? Something
like that.
Fortnite?
Yeah. I don't know. He's told it 20,000 times, and I still can't remember. But yeah, it was something like that. It's really just funny. He didn't tag her or anything, so it was something she had to have been looking up her name.
So what if I told her when I go to walk off, say, "Hey, RK Outpost says hey"? Would she know RK Outpost?
Was your name Ryan Kindle on Twitter? Or was it RK Outpost, or was it Ryan Kindle says thank you for the Fortnite skin? He's still winning. He's still taking W's for you.
Do you need any cards of Daenerys's?
No, I've got some.
Do you? Okay, great. I've got like 6 here that I was gonna send you, but if you've got
Here's the thing
plenty,
with me,
that
Kip.
works.
I'm really bad. Like I'm not going to be holding anything that doesn't like fit. Like like I've got this
yeah.
cool artist, original poster that I could get them to sign, but I'm not going to be walking around that.
Oh yeah.
place.
No, I go to Cooperstown for the induction a lot, and having to hold stuff while you're walking around and trying to look at stuff and get through those lines for the signatures, it's quite the hassle.
If you find any cool like artwork of like dragons and stuff, let me know. I'll totally pay you for some of those.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been to this one before, so I don't really know what type of event it's going to be. But I mean, they put a lot into it, and they're probably pretty excited that not a lot of people are showing up for Comic-Con, right?
Oh yeah, I bet.
So, because this is a pretty good. I mean, this is a pretty good list of outside of Brie, even though she's well known, but like Andrew Garfield, I don't think does any cons or anything.
And
so,
what was the name of this con again?
Superhero Con.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be curious how they got Amelia Clark and Kit Harington together.
Maybe
you would think
if
that
you
they
hear
would've
any
done-
if you hear any scoops, let us know. So
Well, here's the thing: is like,
video.
like you would think that Kit and Amelia being in London, there's cons and there's events in London between New York and London that they would have done something.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that they're doing something now and it's in San Antonio, which is cool. I mean, really the reason why I'm going is because I have a guy that was like a family friend of my father's that doesn't live too far. So he hasn't seen my kids yet. So I was like, okay, we can go see him and then I'll come back. So it kind of just worked out. But
Ryan, in a way, I kind of am. There's players that I love to have their autograph of, and some that I met Whitey Ford about 4 months before he died, and I managed to get his autograph, which was really cool. But it's more of a history aspect and less of a, oh my God, I really need to get Barry Bonds' autograph.
You want to see something cool? I don't know, Nikki or Caleb, you've heard me talk about before how my dad was, I would say more than an acquaintance and less of a good friend, but friends with Elvis. You could say he was friends with Elvis. If you've been to Elvis's house more than 7 or 8 times when he was alive, that would probably mean more than acquaintances. But so this was the ticket to Elvis's concert that my dad had in Memphis.
That's cool.
And it was August 27th in Memphis, Tennessee, the Mid-South Coliseum. You know what's interesting about that?
He died the 28th?
He died the 16th, so he never made that concert.
Oh.
Wow.
So
that's got to be worth something, no?
Yeah, I don't know how much. My dad gave me the ticket, and I put it in this little thing.
Man, you have me so curious. You got to start working on that video of that
I
tour.
know. I've seen some of it. It's fantastic.
What's one thing you can go pick up right now and show us that's not behind you?
Ooh. While you do that, I'm going to tell Ryan a quick story. My dad and I were there, and Whitey Ford was there, and we go into this other building.
Ooh,
that is awesome!
Damn, man,
it's unpunched.
Yep.
So,
wow.
So the other ones, I have them put away because this one I had out and near like a window, even though the blinds were closed. And over time, it faded the red behind the Stormtrooper just a little bit.
Yeah, that was it.
So I was told to seal all the other ones up. Out of all the 12 backs, I have 11. The only one I don't have is the vinyl Cape Jawa.
I have a baseball with all the autographs from the 2011 South Carolina National Championship team, and I had it on my bookshelf. And about a month after I put it there, I went and looked at it. I was like, oh, I need to move this because those autographs are getting faded.
I ought to give this away since I'm not as big a fan as some other people. The Horn of Gondor.
Hi, how are you? What are you doing? I'll
Whoa.
pay you for it.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna hold the fire to your feet so you can start making that video. You could even do like segments of it, like you could tease it out, like do like a 3-part series of like the different stuff in your place. And, and you gotta work on your background. You gotta add more of your stuff.
Yeah, who's P Young?
I don't know.
So P Young.
But it's
So
getting late for me.
P Diddy's son. But yeah, so we would go and get Whitey Ford's autograph, and then we go in this store next door to the place they're all lined up at. And my dad sees this photograph of Yogi Berra and Whitey Ford walking out of old Yankee Stadium, holding their brand new contracts in their hands, and signed by Yogi Berra. Well, Whitey Ford's still sitting next door, so he buys it. It goes and gets Whitey Ford to sign it. Well, unfortunately, Whitey Ford dies about 3 months later, and the thing's now skyrocketed in value. But it's the whole aspect of being able to go and get that signature was so cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So do you collect? Ryan or you? Do y'all collect basketball?
No, I don't. I'm a baseball and a football guy. I do, and the 1980 Olympic hockey team.
So, Derrick Rose, in basketball, he just signed with the Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's like beloved in Memphis, Derrick Rose, because he played for Memphis in college, and they were like 10 seconds away from winning the national title, and our coach didn't know how to call a timeout, and Kansas hit a 3, went to overtime and won it. But Derrick Rose is like beloved, and so when they put out that jersey, the Grizzlies jersey,
sold out.
You watch how quickly that jersey goes to at least $2,000.
Speaking of jerseys, you know what the funny story is?
Wait, let me interject real quick since this is a topic I know nothing about anyways. I'm going to head out because it's late for me, but this was fun. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, Nikki, thank you so much for jumping on. I wasn't going to do a stream, and Nikki talked me into it.
You got to do it when you're not in the mood, I'm sure.
Well, my last stream, I had like 40 people on it, and it's at 2,000 views. I don't know how that works. Like,
yeah, you never know with YouTube. You just got to keep doing it and see what works. But
yeah, Ryan knows. I don't know how the algorithm works, but the last couple of weeks, I've gotten 25,000 views on, which is good for me as a new channel.
I got a Damon video over 100,000 views. You just don't freaking know on this platform. So, but all right, guys, I'll catch you around. Take care.
Yep.
Thank you,
for having me on. Bye.
Adios.
See you next time. Yeah, Ryan, I drunkenly screamed at D Rose in the playoffs because he was healthy and wouldn't play for the Bulls. Loved him, hated how it ended. Oh man, his knees. Yeah.
Yeah. The funny thing about jerseys, when LeBron left for Miami, you know what the Cleveland president listed his jersey at? $17.80, which is the same year Benedict Arnold betrayed the United States.
Yeah, you gotta love sports, man.
Yeah, don't you? I love that stuff.
Well, I live probably door to door, probably 10 minutes from John Morant.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the guys that played for me when I did AAU basketball, I was running AAU basketball. He's his trainer. He trains them.
Okay, that's really cool.
John's had an interesting last 6 months. But Ryan, I need to as I kind of
he's from South Carolina.
Oh yeah, Ja is, yeah.
Yeah, he lived in Sumter, I think.
Yeah, he went to Murray State, and it's one of those things where Ja just has to grow up. Yeah, you could hear the gunshots from behind. Well, listen, he lives in an area where you can't do that. So
you can't pop outside and pop a couple shots off to get the property values down.
Yeah, he can't do that where he lives. I think I mean, you see it in all different sports. When you have $300-400 million, can get to you. And I think he's, we're going to see if he can respond to, what's been put in front of him. It's we'll see. That's one of the reasons they probably got Derrick Rose was to be in the locker room and,
grow him up.
Yeah. So as we kind of wrap up, we talked about Tron, we talked about Indy 5, Mission's coming out. I'm interested.
Wait for Mission.
Yeah. Hey, one thing about Cruise, you notice how he went through all that stuff years ago around Scientology, and he doesn't talk about it now.
Oh yeah.
He focuses. Pretty much he keeps his mouth shut, and he goes to work, and he tries to put the best product out that he can. I don't think there's been any politics in anything he's done.
Nothing that doesn't fit with the story. Like some of the Mission Impossible movies have the whole like climate crisis type story behind them, but they're used to explain why the dude wants to end the world. They're not used to basically say, hey, you people are terrible because you're driving a car that uses gas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what a lot of stuff's missing today.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, Tom keeps the politics out of the movies. He does the stunts. He knows that if they can CGI, for example, a train, Tom's not going to do that. It's going to be a train. And he's going to be doing the stunts on the train. So when you see the movies, even though, we know the scene with the motorcycle going off the cliff, but he was on that motorcycle.
Yeah.
And so when you watch it in the movie, 6
times, did he?
Yeah. Like when he broke his ankle, when you see those scenes in the movies, you can look at the person next to you and go, man, he did that scene. It's crazy. So that's part of the allure of, and plus, I think Chris McCrory got brought in because, Mission Impossible, the series, had that little lull, during 2 and 3, where it could have just ended. And then when they did Ghost Protocol, they flipped the script, and the whole tone of those movies changed.
Yeah.
And now it's fun.
You can definitely tell.
It's fun to go watch it. And, so I think we're going to see in the next few weeks, if you look at what we talked about earlier with Indy 5, it doesn't matter whether I like it or someone else doesn't like it. This movie is almost $500 million, including the marketing budget, at least $140 million that they've admitted. So, almost $500 million, which means that they've got to get to conservatively 850 to 900. So if this movie ends up at 500 million, I know people say, well, what's going to happen to this person or that person? Look, here's what we know. Disney, it's compound, right? So if you lose on Ant-Man Quantumania, you lose on Strange New Worlds, you lose on Little Mermaid. I know people are going, well, Little Mermaid, I think Campia did a video the other day. Little Mermaid has hit 500 million. Dylan's asleep, Paxton. He's not awake. So Little Mermaid, John Campia came out, and said Little Mermaid's at 500 million. And well, that doesn't matter because
it's over. The legs are gone.
What was the budget for Little Mermaid? So
220, wasn't it?
Was $250 million.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include the marketing. So I don't know so these people are very disingenuous when and I know Ryan's been through, anybody who's covered this stuff for a long time, these articles come out and I they lose credibility with me when I look at the article and I go, look, they're trying to spin this like it's something good. Well,
my favorite one is the one that says Little Mermaid may have lost $200 million, but that's a good thing. No, in no way is losing money a good thing. The only time losing money is a good thing is when you're able to write the check for millions of dollars less when you get sued. And that's it.
look, these companies, they're not in the business of. Let's say that they had invested in Little Mermaid and they knew the first movie was going to take a loss to kind of get it uh, the shift in the way that they were doing the story for future movies. Okay,
Yeah.
but you can't lose over $100 million on. This goes back to what Valiant did. Is you can't lose over $100 million on Strange New Worlds, over $150 million, probably north of $200 million on Quantumania, and then Little Mermaid, you lose at least 150 to 200 million. And now you're going to lose, I mean, unless it has amazing legs, and I just don't
But
see
it
that
can't.
happening with Mission Impossible coming
It's
out in a
got
week.
a week. It has one more
Yeah,
week.
Mission Impossible is going to
Mission Impossible.
eat it
And Mission
alive.
Impossible has 9 days
And you
until
know what?
Oppenheimer and Barbie.
And so I know for anybody left on the stream, Tom Cruise is so concerned about competition that he's out there going, "Hey, go see Barbie, go see Indy 5." Like, this isn't competition to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have Indy that's going to lose a couple $100 million. So those 4 movies, Strange New Worlds, Quantumania, Little Mermaid,
And
Indy
Lightyear
5,
too.
You
Elemental.
and you made some money on Elemental is going to lose at least $150 million. People talk about Elemental like, well, it did better. It cropped up to number 2. Again, another movie where the budget was $200 million, not including marketing.
10 years ago,
and so
Disney was putting out hit after hit after hit. They were leading the box office. Marvel, the MCU had earned what? $17 billion after Endgame. And now it's failure after failure after failure.
So there were articles coming out saying how Elemental had picked up this week and was in the number 2 spot. It's made $137 million globally. I mean, that's the gross, right? It's the budget was over 200, not including marketing. It's going to lose over $200 million. So, now MI7, Ryan, I have to look it up, the article. Like, I know that that just like Avatar 2 and 3, like they were offsetting some costs for Dead Reckoning Part 2 that they allocated in part 1. So either they take a little bit of the hit on the first one, part 1, and they make it on the back end if part 2 makes 800 or 900 million. But either way, I think that because they filmed it all, right? They filmed the whole thing. Right?
Yeah,
they may have some reshoots and some pickup shots, but they did it. That's why he was so tough on the crew, the crew during COVID. But I think because it's a long movie and they're going to lose at least one screening a day, with it being 2 hours and 40 minutes. I think it's going to, I don't know if it hits $1 billion, even with it being as long as it is, that's massive. I think it's going to be.
I think it's going to hit 1.5.
Yeah, it's going to be 800 to 900. So you look at all these movies. So then after Indy 5, if Indy 5 loses north of $200 million, then guess what movie you have next
for Disney?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
The Marvels.
Oh.
So you're gonna come out of now. Let's think of let's add this up, Caleb, as we get to the end and wrap up the stream. So let's say you lost $100 million on Strange New Worlds, which is very conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Say you lost 150 on Quantumania, very conservative.
It's another 100 on Lightyear as well, isn't it?
Well, Lightyear I think was in 2022, wasn't it?
We just talking about this year.
Yeah, I'm just talking about this year.
Okay.
This year's balance sheet. So, hey, Mr. Bubba, and Paxton, the stream's going to go about another 15 minutes. Usually the streams are about 2 hours. So you got Strange New Worlds, 100 million loss, conservative. Quantumania, 150. That's very conservative. And then you had Little Mermaid, 150 million, conservative. So that's 300. That's 400 million loss right there. And then you have Indy 5 is going to at least lose 200 million, at least.
6.
So now you're at 600 million and some change. And then you get to the Marvels. So you're talking about conservatively, Disney is going to lose $700 to $900 million this year, maybe more. So, and again, we're being very, very, very gracious about it. So then you take in, well, they had Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, Guardians of the Galaxy is
they still lost money on Guardians.
It made money.
Okay,
but not a ton, but it made money. Guardians of the Galaxy is pretty much nearing the end of the run. It's at $833 million. So, Guardians of the Galaxy budget.
Yeah, Ryan, I really think it could. I think
250.
I think it could make 1.5.
Well, you talking about Mission Impossible?
Yeah, if it's as good as I think it's going to be, I think it'd make 1.5.
Listen, if Mission Impossible makes 1.5, then the theater owners. I mean, Tom Cruise he saved them for at least 2 years, like between Top Gun Maverick and you're talking about a man delivering 2 movies that would get you a $3 billion gross, not including part 2 of Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning. I mean,
well, didn't they announce the other day that this actually isn't the end? That they're going to keep doing movies?
Oh, the Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I did read yesterday that he's talking about doing Days of Thunder sequel.
Okay.
Now that's a little different audience, but there's a lot of competition. I'm like, yeah. So, so Guardians of the Galaxy cost $250 million to make it. 120 in marketing, so 370. So how much do you need to make on 370 all in? You need to make about 800 million. So they probably made 50 to 70 million profit. So Guardians of the Galaxy takes a $750 to $900 million, right at below $1 billion loss for Disney. It takes it only down to 50 million less. So you add that with what they're losing in streaming, which is, I don't know what the numbers are. I know Ryan covered that, like $1.5 billion when it started per quarter. I like to tell the audience it's like the equivalent of sinking one of your Disney cruise ships every quarter.
Yeah. I like that analogy, by the way.
Yeah, because that's something tangible. You walk into a room, you go, hey, listen, I've got the numbers to report for the streaming to the board. We sunk a cruise ship this quarter. And then they go, that's horrible.
We suck it.
Yeah, we sunk a cruise ship this quarter. And then they go, well, that's horrible. And then you come in the next quarter. Guess what?
We did it again.
We sunk another cruise ship. That's what's happening with streaming. So then don't try to tell me that because someone told me the other day the parks are packed. And I could show you photos. Like, listen, they dropped the prices. Ryan, you live in Florida, right? They dropped the park prices for Florida residents by like 45%.
And aren't they still artificially maxing out their parks by lowering how many people are actually allowed in?
Yeah,
they can say we're at max capacity X number of days.
Yeah, they do all kinds of things to try to make it seem like that they're in better shape than they are. And the parks is the one thing that they've had going for them. And then ESPN.
Oh my God.
ESPN just let go of some of their big contracts.
Yep.
Jalen Rose.
They're hoping to like grab the young audience again.
So they unloaded they let go of Jalen Rose, Jeff Van Gundy, and Susie Colbert. It's USA Today. So one last thing I'll share, and then we'll wrap up here. So I'm not even going to click on it. I'm just going to talk about ESPN layoffs. Jeff Van Gundy, Jalen Rose out as Disney cuts costs. So if ESPN's doing so well, Disney's doing so well overall, this wouldn't be happening. I mean, Jalen Rose, Jeff Van Gundy calls all the NBA games, been doing it for years. Jalen Rose, I've never heard of them talking about Jalen Rose having bad ratings. Never. So
I was reading this article about all of this, and one of the things
Did they get rid of Max Kellerman too, Ryan? They got rid of that whole team?
Yeah. Well, so one of the things they were talking about in this article was that with the push for more offensive production in basically everything in all these sports, they are trying to get rid of these people that they consider dinosaurs in the announcing world because they're tired of people complaining about time constraints and things like that in these announcing teams.
Pat McAfee.
So they're tired of that.
Ryan says and make room for $20 million a year for Pat McAfee.
Oh yeah. I mean, Pat.
Do you watch Pat's show?
I watched a bit of it. I don't think Pat should do it. Pat had the world in his hand, and he could have stayed doing what he was doing. He would never have to. He could have just stopped and would never have to work again. He literally had all the money he ever needed, and he decided to take this contract and go work for ESPN. ESPN already dumped him once. Barstool, they dumped Barstool. I think they are snakes in the grass, and I think Pat's going to regret it.
Yeah, well, Clay Travis, he lives in Nashville. I think he's got a place down in Florida too. But I ran into Clay quite a bit when I did AAU basketball. He was doing all his coverage back then, and he was in Nashville, and so I'd see him at the event. So it's kind of interesting to see Clay, with his Outkick the coverage, and now he's a co-host at slot, replacing Rush Limbaugh. So Clay's a smart guy now. He's a smart business guy. He knows his stuff, so I can't fault him for that. But Miami, I know they're trying to get Damian Lillard. They were down there, but it's it's interesting. So tying it all back into Disney, they're doing what a company would do when they're bleeding very, very badly. Like it doesn't. Every industry is the same. When you're really struggling. I like Clay too. Funniest thing ever, if you pull up on YouTube or wherever when he was on CNN, the greatest thing ever. I'm not going to repeat what he said, but that's for another show. But Clay knew going into that interview that he was gonna do that. Like he baited her right into it, and her face was. Yeah, and that moment on CNN I'm talking about that made Clay on the national level. Yeah, that's why he ended up being a co-host on the Clay and Buck show, taking Rush's spot when Rush passed away. But I like Clay. But yeah, Disney. Look, I mean, I think they're going to streamline. People have always talked about, well, who's going to replace Kathy Kennedy? Yeah, books in the First Amendment. I think at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to play out like that. I think that Jimmy Pitaro, what you could end up having is never thought they were going to unceremoniously fire Kathy Kennedy. I think Kathy's going to decide what she wants to do, and she's going to say, look, I'm going to do this advisory role thing where I still have my name, producer credit for the next 5 years, so I could go to all the charity dinners and lunches in California,
right, and
wine and dine. But yet I kind of slide out of the role. So the day-to-day, it doesn't hit the press where it's any major deal, but I'm out. I'm kind of slide out. And then they just take the creatives like, you keep Filoni in there and you Doug Chang, a few others, and then you say, look, the creatives roll up to Jimmy Pitaro or someone that's going to report to the chief executive if and when Iger's gone or however long he stays. So, I mean, why do you – I mean, if it really ultimately rolls up to one of the executives under Iger or Iger himself, why do you need them? I mean, they were already talking about shifting Kevin Feige's role, 3 or 4 months ago. Same kind of thing, right? So, being a studio head, I mean, the studio is Disney. Just like
exactly, yeah.
When Elemental struggling and going to lose money, they were talking about, well, they're going to roll Pixar and Disney animation. Well, if they're going to do that, they're going to do that anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's my prediction. What I think is going to happen is I think people are looking for some big announcement about Kathy Kennedy. I don't think it's going to come. I don't think it's going to be like that. Hey, thanks, Ryan, for stopping by. We're about to wrap up too.
Thanks, dude.
I really appreciate you stopping by, especially this late. Yeah. So,
Hope it was a good drink.
Yeah, we let me know if what you drink. I may send you something sometime. I've got like 2 cases of Weller downstairs reserved. So, yeah. So Indy 5, we've covered that to death. We've covered some of the House of the Dragon news. I want to see Leo Suter playing Cregan Stark. We'll find out who's playing Nettles. We'll see what's going to happen with that. Star Wars is still a mess. It'll be a mess tomorrow when everybody wakes up. It'll be a mess in a month. I don't think it's going to get fixed overnight anytime soon. But the good news is we all have the games that we've played for 40 years. We all have the movies that we loved and grew up with. We all have the content creators that we can watch and enjoy and chat with and talk to. So, the people that think that the content is not out there for them anymore or that it's changed, look, it's, when the money dries up, it'll come back around. You'll see more John Wick type movies. You'll see, more of the movies like Tom Cruise is making, and you'll see change. It just may not come as fast as everybody wants it to be. But
and Dune and John Wick and a lot of these movies prove that you can still make really good movies for $100 million.
Yeah, that's another thing, man.
I mean, that Dune cast. I saw that. I saw that casting picture, and that $120 million for those people, that blew my mind.
Yeah, they've got to listen. If I'm running the studio and you walk into me and you say you're pitching a project and you want 200 million plus, man, you better have Tony Stark getting in an Iron Man suit. You better have
Tom Cruise better be in it.
Tom Cruise better be jumping out of a plane. Leonardo DiCaprio better be changing his mind about playing Anakin Skywalker like he did in 2000.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't necessarily remember that, but Leo didn't take the role because he wanted to see the script. They didn't have a script. But
real quick, I know you want to finish, but in one or two sentences, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on what Idris Elba recently said about not playing James Bond?
I think I think he just was shooting straight.
You think that actually happened?
Yeah. You think you're talking about like him thinking that they were just trying to bring him in to be the black guy playing Bond?
No. What I read was that he received just
hate,
enormous amount of hate on the idea of a black man playing James Bond.
I think that's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably true. It's not content. It's not people, content creators. It's not people that actually will put their name behind something.
Yeah.
It's bots. I think some of these celebrities need to realize when they get a lot of this hate, the hate stuff on social media, look, you don't respond to everything, but also you need to realize what's real and what's not, what's a bot and what is a real person. If you can't put your name behind it, then, is it real? So I do think there's probably people out there that probably sent him, nasty messages or that got back to him. But I also think that he, I think that I like Idris Elba, and I think that Idris is
he's a cool guy.
Actor.
I really liked him in The Take,
and he's good in Luther. But I think Idris doesn't want to just step into a role and copy what's already been done.
Right.
I think he's probably sitting there looking at it saying, why can't I play a role that's an agent or something where it's a new character?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that he's on the level. He's an actor. I mean, I think DiCaprio is the same way. I don't think they want to play something that's been done a bunch of times by other people. They want to do something that's their own.
Yeah.
And so
that makes sense.
So I like him. He's been pretty good in some things, and so anyway, yeah. So I haven't read all that, but I've read a little bit of it. So I'm interested to see where they go with Bond.
Me too.
And
that's my big thing. Bond has always been my giant
I know you're gonna do some cover. You ought to do some stuff around Ian Fleming and kind of where it all started, originated. That'd be some cool videos.
I so should.
Yeah, you should do that. But well, I'm gonna get out of here. I know we're coming up on it's late, and Paxton, thanks for stopping in. I'll tell Dylan you said hi. But yeah, we'll probably do another stream on Wednesday. There's some more stuff to talk about. Is that after the 4th? Yeah, that's after the 4th.
Yes.
So I'll do a stream for everybody. I'm leaving for the Superhero Con on Thursday. So we will do a stream on Wednesday where we talk about what's going to be going on at the Superhero Con. And we'll do some filming there. If at all possible, we'll try to get some good footage of Amelia Clark, Kit Harington, Haley Steinfeld, Elizabeth Olsen, Brie Larson, Andrew Garfield, and Katie Sackhoff. Those are the people we'll be meeting. So hopefully we'll have some good photos and video of the con, and we'll bring that to you guys over the weekend. But everybody have a great night, and TCB.
Have fun, guys.